Assalamualaikum. Habari zenu?
Nzuri sana.
Wow. What an honor, a very, very great honor for me to have this opportunity to participate in this conference and to deliver a speech during this workshop on access to justice for persons with disabilities. I truly want to thank ICJ and the United Disabled Persons Organization of Kenya for putting together this wonderful conference. I have not stopped celebrating the enactment of the Disabled Act, which was assented to by the President only 10 days ago, I think, or a week ago. It is a process I followed with keen interest because within the social transformation through access to justice, the blueprint that the judiciary is following to deliver justice to the people of Kenya as a very, very special place for persons with disability, access to justice for the vulnerable, and therefore the Disabilities Act was one of the vehicles that we've been looking forward to ensure that we are enabled through legislation, through systems, through policies, through institutions, to deliver justice or access justice to persons with disabilities. So congratulations for the great work you did to bring forward that act. Those who come from Kenya know how difficult it is to have a registration, go through. I've been in this space working as a jurist, as you have been told. I was an advocate, a human rights defender for 15 years, working very, very closely with women, children, persons with disability, the marginalized, before I was appointed a judge. And I've never stopped being a defender of human rights up to today. So today, I'm so delighted to join you at this important regional convening that brings together distinguished judges. I have my colleagues here. Thank you very much for coming to be part of this wonderful conference. We have experts, we have lawyers, and disability rights activists from across our vast and diverse continent of Africa. And I take this opportunity to welcome you most warmly to Kenya, to welcome you to Nairobi, and hope that you will have a very, very fruitful conference. I am impeding access to justice and enabling our persons with disability thrive and live a life where they can realize their full potential. Access to justice is a foundational human right. It is a gateway through which all other rights are protected and realized. I've just come from Kisumu, where we were launching courts, and it was emphasized that without justice, we cannot even have peace. So as such, in every democratic society, justice must be accessible to all. Because if we do not have justice, we cannot have peace, we cannot have development, we cannot even coexist in harmony. But as we all acknowledge, for far too long, persons with disabilities have had This gateway obstructed by structural, legal, and attitudinal challenges that undermine their full and equitable or equal participation in the justice sector. In this regional conference, we gather to confront these barriers. We gather here so that we can listen and learn. And after that, we act in solidarity towards advancing access to justice for persons with disability, which is really a constitutional command or imperative. So I go on to submit that access to justice is a right and not a privilege. Distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, for all persons in Africa, including persons with disabilities, access to justice is a right, not a privilege. The right of persons with disabilities to access justice is firmly anchored, as we all know, in international and regional frameworks. Under Article 13 of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, to which many of our African states are party. Persons with disabilities have a right to effective access to justice on an equal basis with others. This convention requires states to ensure procedure and age-appropriate accommodations in all involved proceedings, including at the investigations stage. We also have the Africa Disability Protocol, which is a uniquely African framework. Further foregrounds these rights. The protocol contextualizes rights of persons with disabilities within our African realities, establishing a nexus between culture, social, economic, and historical dimensions. Notably, our protocol echoes the requirements to enhance access to justice as a cornerstone of inclusive governance and human rights in Africa. Therefore, in measuring our progress towards ensuring access to justice for persons with disabilities, we must consider not only our obligations under domestic law, but also the obligations set out under the International Convention for Persons with Disability. And we must also factor in the Africa Disability Protocol. These are the instruments that helped us all the way to push the Disability Act, because we kept on reminding the Kenyan government of the obligations they have undertaken under the national instrument and the African protocol on the disability. So we have some lessons to learn from Kenya, from the progress that we have made since our Constitution of Kenya 2010. In Kenya, access to justice is both a constitutional mandate and a moral imperative. The Constitution lays a strong foundation for inclusion, for protection, and empowerment of persons with disabilities. In particular, Article 10 enshrines the national values of inclusivity, equity, and human dignity. Furthermore, Article 54 of the Constitution expressly guarantees the rights of persons with disabilities to be treated with dignity, to have access to public places, and services. Utilize accessible communication means and use equipment to overcome disability-related barriers. Additionally, Article 27 provides for equality and freedom from discrimination. Article 43 of the Constitution guarantees economic and social rights, including access to health, education, and adequate housing. Further, Article 21(3) makes it an obligation for state organs and public officers to address the needs of persons with disabilities. These provisions of the Constitution offer us a robust basis for access to justice for persons with disabilities. Notably, the recent enactment of the Persons with Disabilities Act 2025 is a transformative step towards the promotion and protection of the rights of persons with disabilities by ensuring improved quality of life, financial inclusion, and disability mainstream. Importantly, the Act guarantees greater access to justice for persons with disabilities by requiring courts to provide sign language interpreters, braille materials, and ensuring physical access. We must commend and appreciate the remarkable efforts that were made by our senator, our most celebrated senator, Crystal Asiki, who sponsored the bill. I don't know whether the senator is in the house so that you can give her a round of applause, but wherever she is, please let us appreciate her. As judges, advocates, academics, policymakers, we have a shared responsibility to ensure that we translate these legal frameworks into reality. For the Kenyan judiciary, under our blueprint, the one I mentioned, the social transformation through access to justice, we have a clear mission. A mission to create a people-centered, an inclusive justice system that leaves no one behind. START, as we call it, compels us to reimagine how justice is delivered, to challenge embedded inequalities, and to ensure that justice is accessible to all, including the vulnerable members of our communities. Under START, we have prioritized measures that enhance inclusion and access to justice for persons with disability. And I will mention some of the measures we are undertaking, which include: 1, mapping and establishing accessible infrastructure in courts across the country. Number 2, targeted employment of persons with disabilities by the Judicial Service Commission. And we continue to strengthen so that we can ensure that we meet the threshold of the 5% legislative and institutional targets. Three, we are incorporating sign language interpretation and assistive technologies in courtrooms and online platforms. Number 4, we are training judicial officers on disability rights to ensure rights, protecting, and dignity-enhancing decision-making. Among our court stations, a person with disability is given an access card so that when they go to court, they are given priority. So that like the elderly or women who are pregnant or nursing babies. We treat them, we give them priority. We give them that priority card, which I understand was celebrated as a best practice at last year's UN convention. We call it the CSW, Convention on CSW. We do it. We were recognized for that practice of issuing a priority card to the vulnerable groups who include persons with disability. So those are the measures we have taken. And the judiciary is also committed to mainstreaming the concerns of persons with disabilities in all our operations, stigma, and upholds the dignity of persons with disabilities. By doing so, the law becomes the therapeutic agent that promotes and protects the dignity of the vulnerable groups. The judiciary continues to play an instrumental role in shaping the legal landscape for persons with disabilities. I know the judges here will discuss some of the jurisprudence that has made judicial pronouncements upholding the rights of persons with disability. But allow me to mention just a few, like in the case of HKK versus the National Council of Persons with Disability, a case of 2023, the High Court sitting in Meru held that and 54 of the Constitution. In the case of Wilson Mashadia versus Safaricom, I think Mr. Mashadia is here. Congratulations, the court upheld the rights to dignity, the rights to fair administrative action, and reasonable accommodation. The court found Safaricom culpable for refusing to employ the petitioner based on his visual disability, which was found to have violated his rights under the Constitution, and he was awarded compensation for the humiliation and unfair treatment that he endured. Each one of us must reflect on our role, not just as legal practitioners and experts, but as citizens in upholding the dignity of every African, including persons with disabilities. When we sat in the small room waiting to come down for this conference, my colleague, Judge, my friend, Justice Makeri, reminded us that we are all candidates. Number two, we also need to advise the African governments to provide funds and resources in support of court accessibility, because many has to do with the infrastructure that we have that does not accommodate persons with disability. Another request to our African government is for them to enact or amend laws so that they can enhance access to justice and promote legal aid for persons with disabilities. We also have a message for the bar associations to provide pro bono services and guidance to persons with disabilities in navigating the justice system. The civil society organizations have done a remarkable work, and we call upon them to continue to document the experiences, to partner with judiciaries and others in creating awareness, and call for necessary legal reforms. Our academia to continue being our think tanks, to promote groundbreaking research on legal reforms, access to justice and protection of rights, persons with disabilities in Africa. In conclusion, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I must remind us that justice is not truly just until it reaches every corner of our society. It flows like a river and overcomes all the crevices and obstacles, and that it is inclusive of every voice. That's when it is justice. Period. Persons with disabilities must not only access justice dignity and with a firm resolve that all persons with disabilities in Africa must access justice. Together, we can build a future where no one is left behind. I thank you all. God bless you. Have a very, very fruitful conference and very, very wonderful outcomes that are going to guide us further. Before I sit down, I want to recognize my very special friend, Advocate Peter Kamau. Is Peter Kamau in the house? Yeah, thank you very much. Knowing he's a strong advocate for persons with disability, and he has done a lot of work to make sure that this legislation also comes to fruition. Thank you all. I celebrate all of you for finding time to come and find solutions to these problems that confound us. Asante sana.